we create our own reality. It really is about self-responsibility and ownership for creating the life that my clients want. You're never too old and it's never too late.
Welcome to Women Thrive podcast. This is where you'll get to hear incredible stories of female entrepreneurs, business owners, women from all walks of life. Myself, Raymond Jan, and my co-host Abigail will be interviewing incredible women, hearing inspiring stories of women from all around the world. I have no doubt that you will find something that will be life-changing for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us for our future episodes.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Women Thrive podcast. My name is Abigail Rebecca. I'm your host. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject that actually comes up quite a lot in conversations, but maybe it comes up a little bit in negative ways. Let's talk about and let's get real about as we get older, as we're women. I've just been having a conversation with our guest offline before we hit record. And, she was explaining to me about, the fact that sometimes as we kind of go into midlife, and especially that big 50 number, as we hit 50, it almost feels like, oh, is our life over? But actually it's about taking all this experience with us and feeling empowered and going into, these years with power and wisdom. I'm very, very excited about having this conversation. So I want to introduce you to Cherie Rivas. She's a leading empowerment mentor and transformational therapist who guides Gen X women to reconnect with their purpose, reignite their passion, and reclaim their power. I love those 3 P's, Cherie. Purpose, passion, and power. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Abby. I'm so happy to be here.
It's just such a fantastic conversation and I can't wait to dive straight in. But before we go any further, I'd really, really love to hear more about your work. I've just given you a very short intro there. In your words, please, can you share with us what you do and how you empower these incredible women?
As you've said, I love supporting Gen X women to reconnect with their purpose and to reclaim their power. The way that I love to do this is by really supporting women to start to unravel all of the conditioning and all of the programs that we've had layered upon us since the day that we were born, and really getting to peel those back, the limiting beliefs, the fears, the childhood wounds, taking off the masks, and also embracing and integrating our shadows as well. Really taking all of that back, stripping it back, basically, so that we can fully connect with the divine truth of who we are.
Love that. And what drives you to do this? Like, what's your story and your experience around why you do this and why you're so passionate about it, clearly so passionate about it?
How far back do we want to go? So in a previous life, I had been working in high-level positions, very successful career in both local government and also the adult vocational education training sector. And life was going along beautifully. And then all of a sudden, I was completely blindsided by a relationship breakup. And then I subsequently found out that I was pregnant. So after that period of time, I really went through a process of wondering who the heck I was. Like, I actually realized that, through this process of grieving the loss of my relationship, grieving the loss of a really successful career, I went from earning good money to almost being bankrupt, barely able to pay the mortgage, barely able to put food on the table. I was navigating the legal system on my own, experiencing the financial hardships, and also battling postnatal depression as well. So it was a really rock bottom phase of my life. And I realized that I actually didn't even know who I was. Like on the surface, everything looked like it was great, but I'd always been the good girl my entire life, all through childhood. And I went to uni to keep my mum happy. And I went and got a good job in the public sector to keep my grandmother happy. I'd even been in relationships just because I thought that, that particular person would keep my parents happy. And it's like I'd been living my entire life hoping to please other people. And in going through this process of really pulling apart what is truly me and who I truly am, and pulling back all of that conditioning, all of the programming, and then coming through the end of that and realizing that, hey, I'm actually not alone. I went through the majority of that process on my own. And so to get to that point, and then, eventually I started to connect with other people and starting to talk about my story and realizing that so many other women, whilst they may not have experienced exactly what I experienced, there is still this, it's almost like a rite of passage where it's like women reach a point and wonder, who are they? They might have gotten to a certain level in their careers, or they've gotten to a point where their children have started to leave home, and all of a sudden they wonder, who am I? And given that I've been through that process, and in going through that process, if I can help to make that journey a lot easier and make that transition a lot smoother for other women, well, that lights me up, because to see how women can, it's almost like they come back to life. It's almost like you see that spark within them again, and you see them light up, and you see them truly claim all of their magnificence, and that creates ripple effects. It's amazing. That's why I love what I do.
When you're talking about it, I can hear the passion in your voice. It lights you up, the work that you do, and
Yeah.
that's always so beautiful to see. And absolutely, when we fall deeply in love with ourselves and we start to honor and appreciate ourselves and flourish in that way, it's the most beautiful gift we can give to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's dive in. Let's talk about middle age.
All right. Let's do it.
About it. So I said in the intro, we'd been talking off camera about, and you were saying, there's this kind of feeling amongst certain people, not everyone, but there's this general feeling that when you hit 50, or at any kind of middle age, whatever that means, like you're over the hill and you're past your prime. But you look at it on a completely different angle, don't you? Can you share your thoughts around
Absolutely.
that and your thought
Yeah.
leadership about this?
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
important.
I personally, in my journey, I didn't even truly start to feel like I was even able to be myself until possibly my mid-40s. It was not until my early to mid-40s, through my 40s, that I even really connected with my own physical body. Even in terms of health and fitness, and feeling that level of energy and vitality. We often have these perceptions about older people, and they're just kind of limping through life and not feeling that level of energy and vitality. And I didn't even reach peak of my vitality until my mid-40s. And, that was just the first step. That's just the physical body. As we mature, as we learn, as we grow, we deepen our access to so much wisdom that we're holding, that is deep within our bodies, deep within our psyche. And when we go through that journey of really being able to differentiate between somebody else's belief or somebody's belief that was installed into us, and really starting to unravel and disconnect from other people's expectations, standards, beliefs, and just coming back to our own truth. There is so much power in that. It's like we don't even have to answer to anybody anymore. We have nothing to prove because we already feel that power innately within us and that wisdom.
It's such a great way of looking at things. Like, I really resonate with this. I'm turning 50 this year, and I totally like feel this huge shift. I'm so excited about it. If you'd have asked me in my 20s if I'd been excited about being 50, I'd have been like, nah. No, absolutely no way. I couldn't even imagine what life would be like. And I've just come back actually from a photo shoot. I've had a brand photo shoot in Helsinki in Finland, and it is like totally like celebrating me going into my 50s. And I think that this really, we need to talk about it more. It needs to be encouraged more. I see it more and more, like women are really feeling an empowerment, especially if they're doing work on themselves and they're doing this inner work and really coming back to self-love and self-appreciation. But this is a conversation that we need to talk more about.
Absolutely. It's a part of life. And yet it's almost like older women are sort of pushed into the back corner, and nobody really wants to acknowledge that they're in the room. Nobody really wants to acknowledge that, they have so much to contribute. A lot of the younger ones, they seem to think they know it all. Mind you, we probably heard this from our parents at one stage as well. So
Exactly.
now that it's us, it's like, yeah, we've got so much to contribute. It's a matter of us actually taking ownership of that wisdom and of that power, and actually saying, hey, we are here. You can't ignore us. You can't just put us in the corner. We have so much value.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say, actually, Cherie. You're talking about, you're in a room and you're put into a corner. But actually, do you think that that's what society does to us? And that's like the culture? Or do you think we put ourselves in the corner? Because I've heard this conversation so many times from women that say, oh, like now that I'm older, it's almost like I feel like I'm being ignored. It's like I feel like I'm invisible. And I'm like, well, actually, I don't have that experience. I've never had that experience. And I know I will never, ever have that experience because I don't feel invisible. Like, it's like there's a difference between kind of slinking into a room and thinking, oh, I'm too old. Look at those young women over there, and comparing yourself to them and putting yourself in the corner. There's a big difference between that and walking into a room with your head up high, feeling and looking amazing and going in there and freaking rocking the room. Like, I really love your thoughts on that, your perspective on that.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree. For a woman in her middle age, a woman in her 50s or 60s or whatever age it might be, her energy will fill up a room. If that's who she is and that's the way she expresses herself, she can definitely walk into a room and own it. I think if we have a look at society on a broader level, though, I still think that so many of the messages that we get, whether that be through popular media, social media, whether it be, even access to services and openly speaking about some of the issues that women in middle age might be navigating. It's not as easy to find those services or conversations as what it is about, talking about babies and those sorts of things. So I think definitely on that broader social level, society is putting us in the corner, even though we as individuals might be able to hold our own. It's like that recognition needs to be there that women can hold their own.
That's why we need people like you
Yeah,
speaking her.
I guess so. Yeah.
You know, we go to South of France quite a lot, Cannes in South of France. And I remember walking into a supermarket, just a normal, regular supermarket, going and doing our weekly shop while we were there. And this woman walked out, and she must have been in her 70s. And she was so freaking chic, like
Yeah.
French chic. She had an oversized man's suit on, and then she had the most beautiful, like jewelry, brooches. She'd styled herself so well. Her hair was grey. It was up in a really beautiful, sleek hair. And she was rocking that car park.
Yeah.
She walked out, and I just thought, you know what? This is such an incredible example of someone who really loves herself and honors herself.
Yeah.
And actually, everyone was turning their heads to look at her.
Yeah.
And a
Amazing.
really good example of how we can create our external reality, our inner reality, how we feel about ourselves, how we expect things to show up, really
Yeah.
can help us create that outer reality. When you're working with your clients, like, what are the things that you help them with? What are the things that you were talking about? You know, I didn't really come into my own. I didn't really start to be embodied until I was in my mid 40s. Like,
Yeah.
what was that experience like for you? And what are your main takeaways from that you really help your clients with when you work with them?
Well, firstly, and you've already mentioned it, in the fact that we create our own reality. So when we are confident in who we are as women, when we are absolutely totally in love with ourselves, when we love and accept our body, when we love and accept, you know, the journey that we took to become the woman that we are, that in itself shifts our internal world so that we become that in the external world. I mean, in terms of my clients and the work that we do, it really is about self-responsibility and ownership for creating the life that my clients want. Creating that belief, or at least supporting them to truly believe in themselves that they can create the life that they want. That, and we said it before we started, it's this idea of you're never too old and it's never too late. When we make the conscious choices, we could all be that amazing 70-year-old woman that you saw in the south of France. It's just a matter of choosing that that's who we are. That's who we are going to express. And when we connect deeply with who we are, we have that confidence to then express who we are.
You've hit the nail on the head there. It's the inner work. It's like seeing ourselves differently to be able to create that external reality. Like that woman, that very chic French woman walking into the car park, she expected people to turn around and look at her. She expected to be admired. When you expect these things, they happen. If you expect to be, to stand out and be seen, no one's going to put you in the corner because that's not even in your reality.
Yeah.
And secondly, the role models. I think it's really important to have these role models. I don't know if you're aware of Iris Apnell. She was an amazing woman. Very sadly, she passed away last week. She was 102.
Wow.
And she was this incredible woman. She was a model. She was a brand ambassador. She was an influencer. She was just like this incredible woman. She lived in New York. And her style was incredible. She was very well known for her big, thick, round glasses,
Yes, I do. Yes, I know
hair.
the woman that you mean. Yeah.
I mean, incredible, on magazine covers when she was 100, like really. And I look at women like that and I think, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting older. I'm like, what am I going to wear like when I'm in my 60s? What am I going to wear when I'm in my 70s? What am I going to wear when I'm 100? Like, what's my style going to be? How am I going to rock it? Instead of this, dread and worry about older and, the health and all of that, like really having this positive aspect on what your life's going to be like. Who are your role models?
Well, I'm
Older
I'm
role
I'm kind
models.
of going through a little bit of the same thing. It's like, "Oh, this is how I want my hair to be when I'm in my 60s." And so I've already got that plan happening. I'm actually going to be rocking the gray sooner or later because I think gray hair like that, I think is so super sexy at the moment. So yeah, I've got a bit of a plan in terms of, how I'm going to be rocking it in my late 50s and 60s. I can't say as I have a specific role model, and I think that that is because there actually aren't enough role models out there. So it's like, well, okay, if they're not out there, well, somebody's going to have to do it, aren't they? So
Yeah,
that's why these conversations are so important.
really important. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's so many amazing women now that are watching this and listening to this and can really resonate with the conversation and resonate with what you're saying, Cherie, and the work that you do. What would you say to them if they're feeling, if there's that lack of confidence and I am feeling my age and I am feeling like I'm past my prime, and how on earth can I get this inner spark back? How on earth can I reignite this flame and really go out there and show myself, my older self, to the world? What would you say are some really positive steps that they can make to start off this journey?
I'm going to share some really simple steps that reflect my own journey. And I know that, my journey may not be right for every woman. So I think taking really simple steps of coming back to our physical body and starting to really look after our physical body. It's so important that we maintain muscular strength, mobility, flexibility as we start to get older. And I don't want to sort of sound all negative, like we're all going to be walking around on walking frames or that sort of thing. But, just to reconnect with our body is really important. So taking care of it, water, good nutrition, adequate sleep, exercise, all of those things really contribute to actually feeling physically more energetic and vibrant. And when we start to feel more physically energetic and vibrant, that in itself is a confidence boost. I also find things like journaling and meditation to be so important in terms of being able to really reconnect with our own inner voice, being able to differentiate between other people's expectations, standards, and beliefs, and really, really knowing our own truth. Because when we know our own truth, who we are, and we are deeply connected with that, that's who we be in the world. It's kind of irrelevant what other people expect or judge. There's a confidence that comes with that innately.
I love style. I love clothes. I love accessories. I love to dress up. Anyone that follows me will know that. I always say it's not about what you're wearing. It's almost like the clothes and the accessories are an adornment to how you're feeling
Yeah.
inside. And it's that inner radiance, it's that inner beauty. I look at
Yeah.
someone like Dolly Parton. She's in her late 70s and she was on stage a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, Cherie. She was like rocking this incredible, like bejeweled, like sequin bodysuit. She was there, like, in all of her glory, like totally rocking and owning the stage. And, that's not just what she's wearing, that's how she's feeling inside.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's able to hold, like, she's able to stand on a stage and people are looking at her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're so magical. And it's like you said before, like all of this wisdom that we brought with us throughout our years, the experience and the wisdom, we carry that in our aura. We can completely amplify that and take it
Yeah.
with us on whatever that journey looks like.
Definitely. Me personally, I'm possibly not the Dolly Parton sequence kind of a woman, though I do like that kind of edginess. So for me, getting out there in a pair of Doc Martens, that's what really helps me feel really confident when I'm moving through the world. It's being able to express it, knowing who we are on the inside and being confident enough in showing that to the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I bet you rock those Doc Martens. I can see you now looking all edgy in your docs.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Cherie, we're so excited to have you as a speaker on the Women Thrive stage. As you know, at Women Thrive, we're about empowering the voices of women, and we have got incredible speakers of all ages.
Yeah.
I think our youngest speaker is about 25, 26, and then we have
Wow.
our late 70s, early
Yeah.
80s, incredible role models and shining examples. And every one of our speakers is bringing such beautiful energy and knowledge and wisdom to the stage. Cherie, we are so excited to see your talk. Can you share with us a little bit about what your talk is about?
My talk title is Reclamation, Reaching Your Highest Potential Through Authentic Expression. I guess it mirrors very much my journey and being able to, as I mentioned before, being able to peel back all of those layers to actually rediscover myself. It was, a journey of reclamation. So I'll be sharing that in my presentation, and there will be lots of interactive activities within my presentation as well, just to really bring home how easy this journey can be with a bit of guidance. So, we'll be talking about the limiting beliefs and working through the fears and removing our masks and, even reclaiming those parts of ourselves that, society might typically say are unacceptable or, might be a little bit uncomfortable. But that's an important part of being able to reclaim who we are and to be able to confidently rock it, because we know that there is more depth to who we are. We accept ourselves and love ourselves, the full spectrum of ourselves, the good, the bad, the not so attractive parts of ourselves. And that's what gives us our power and our confidence in knowing that we are the full spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. Cherie, it's been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. Where can people find you? What's your website, your social media? Where do you hang out? Where can we find you?
So my website is simply cherierivas.com. Best place to find me is Facebook. So Cherie Rivas on Facebook and Instagram, keeping in mind that I am Gen X. I wasn't raised with social media, but I have delved into the realms of Instagram as well. And on Instagram, I am Cherie Rivas.
Amazing. Not on TikTok yet then? Is that the next
Not on
step?
TikTok. Oh, it's crossed my mind.
There's a lot of Gen X rocking it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Amazing. We'll put all the links as well below. So if you're watching, listening, just go onto the show notes and you'll be able to see all of Cherie's links and information below. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your beautiful wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Abby. It's been great to have a chat with you today.
Thank you. And thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope that our conversation today has sparked something inside of you. And I think really, the clear message here is really to look at the way that you are feeling about yourself and showing up, and really start to do some beautiful inner work, around your self-worth and your self-perception and your self-love. And believe you me, that creates a beautiful, beautiful path back to your true, authentic self. And then it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what society thinks. Society, Cherie and here are in our docs, and we're telling you now to show up as yourself, love yourself, believe in yourself, and you can create anything that you want. We love having you watching and listening to our podcast. Thank you so much for being an incredible audience and community. And we will see you on the next Women Thrive podcast. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Women Thrive podcast. If you found today's episode empowering and inspiring, be sure to subscribe and follow us. Better yet, leave a review and share it with others. We're committed to bringing you more stories that will empower and inspire you on your own journey. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep pursuing your dreams.